So lately, I've been thinking a lot about quotes, right? Specifically how we collect the sentences that shape us. And it started when I stumbled on a collection in Sublime called Quote Basket. And just something about that, it just hit me, right? Like someone walking through a field of wildflowers, picking whatever catches her eye and tucking it into a woven basket to take home. There's no categories, no rules. It's just beauty gathered as it appears. And right as I was savoring this idea of a quote basket, right, I happened to bump into an article from Austin Kleon. It was about his Commonplace diary, right, his own way of collecting quotes. And I was able to find this article because Sublime, my note-taking app, the one that I'm using right now that you're looking at, this is the Canvas, it has this related ideas feature, right? So it surfaced this connection to Austin Kleon's Commonplace book, which led me down a whole path that we're talking about right now. Now, Kleon, he keeps a digital note on his phone, and it's just in Apple Notes, and it's called Quotes, right? And every line that moves him, it gets tossed in there. Now, this is as of, the latest or whatever. Maybe it's changed since then. This was 2023, I believe. Most people would just kind of stop there, right? Or maybe you have a database full of quotes, right? It's a searchable list. It's convenient. It's quick. It's efficient. But Kleon does something a little bit different. Each day he returns to his digital quote pile, right? And he chooses just one line and he copies it by hand into a physical notebook, right? Going from the phone to the notebook. So you have like two encounters with the same sentence, the same quote, right? Pass one is collecting the spark, and you get that instant like, man, this is a good line, I want to keep this. This is a good lyric, I want to keep this. This is a good phrase, I want to keep this. And then pass two is absorbing it and inhabiting it, right? As you write it down with your hands, right? And writing by hand, it kind of slows down the moment, right? The quote moves through your eyes first and then through your body. It's a whole experience. And it becomes less like, like content that I saved and more like truth that I'm learning or absorbing. And this fascinated me. Here's something from Henrik Carlson that I found because Sublime surfaced it for me. He says, the thing that I like to tell myself is that writing makes me feel more alive. Putting words to my thoughts brings the world into me. I'm reading a book and it's interesting, but unless I stop and actually write about it and put my own words to it, it's not going to make it into my body and become part of me. I'm not going to be transformed by it, but I want to be changed by life. Same here. I want to be affected by life. I want to grow and change, so I write. Beautiful words, and this has to do with more of like making your own version of it. But the connection here is making it into your heart and in your mind through the act of writing, right? In this case, Kleon does it through actually physically writing. Now, here's what surprised me most, right? Kleon doesn't organize his quotes by theme or by category. It's by the date, right? Which means that when he flips through his notebook, he's not scrolling by topic. He doesn't just have creativity or, for me, it's like creator compass, a way for me to show up as a creator. And I have a list of quotes that relate to that topic. And that can be a good thing. But there's something unique about just scrolling through, or in this case, flipping through a notebook that's just filed, or that's ordered by dates, right? So it's almost like he's walking through a season. There's different moods and different needs and hungers and just maybe even prayers, right? A line on creativity might sit next to a line on grief, and a psalm might share a page with a sentence from Shakespeare or a YouTube interview. Just to even think about that is just really cool, right? And it's those friction points that, these don't belong together moments are actually where the fresh insights spark. Here's a quote from my Commonplace book related to this. This is from Andrew Anderson. You may be on a bus and overhear someone use an interesting turn of phrase, or you may hear the lyrics of a song which you find incredibly beautiful. That's happened to me actually 2 times yesterday. You may find a headline in a newspaper which piques your interest. And creating a Commonplace book with a series of small unrelated ideas is a bit like planting seeds. You never know which ones will grow and which ones will remain dormant. So this date-based approach reveals things that categories just can't. Like maybe like what you cared about in October, right? Or maybe what authors kept showing up in summer, right? Or maybe the ideas that you leaned on during a tough winter, a tough season in your life. Or maybe the kinds of beauty you noticed when life felt a little bright. And it reminds me of photography, right? And I'm not at all a photographer, but when fall comes, my camera shifts from sunrises to leaves without me realizing it. I'm just automatically drawn to the things that are changing right in front of me, right? My attention tilts and my lens changes in different angles. My heart starts noticing different things, right? And quotes work the same way, right? They follow the weather of your soul. They kind of tell you what was blooming in you at the time. It can reveal what your heart was aching for, right? Here's something to think about. This is from J.M. Strom. October is about trees revealing colors they've hidden all year. People have an October as well. I just want to think about that and write about that. I love that. And then Ralph Waldo Emerson kind of sums up everything like he always does. And he kind of shows up like a friend who's been listening the whole time and just chimes in and says something that makes your jaw drop. He says, make your own Bible. Select and collect all those words and sentences that in all your reading have been to you like the blast of a trumpet out of Shakespeare and Seneca and Moses, John and Paul. And that's, what a quote basket really is, right? It's your personal canon of trumpet blasts, right? The lines that startled you awake, the sentences that tuned your desires, right? The words that pointed you toward hope and clarity, courage, or God, right? Not because they're famous words, but because they found you. The more that I set with this 2-pass method, right? Then it's the gather digitally and then copy by hand. I've actually done something like this before, and I want to get back to it. It was sometime last year. I wanted scripture to just really stick in my heart and mind. I didn't want to just read it and highlight it on my phone because that's easy for me to just click something. I'm not even moving my finger. I just click it and I choose a highlight color. There's barely any body movement when I do that. I wanted it to be kind of carved into me and stored and ready to come up when I needed it to come up. So I got a pack of the field notebooks, as you can see right here on the right. And I got a pocket-sized organizer that's sitting here on the left, which I still love and use both of these. And it became like my wallet, my daily companion, my intellectual tool belt, right? And I made a simple rule. It was write down one thing a day. That's it. Sometimes it just came from my digital notes, like a verse that I saved or a line that I underlined, a lyric that I couldn't just get out of my head. And sometimes it came from something I noticed while I was walking. And I even found a spot on my trail, right? This bendy tree right here. It's perfectly at your waist, and it just happens to be flat enough to ride on. And the first time that I stopped there, it was by accident. And now, because I pass that tree every day, it's almost like a reminder. It's a cue to pause, to pay attention, and capture what matters. And just like Kleon, I wasn't writing new ideas, right? I was writing things that I wanted buried deep, the things that were worth carrying. A verse or a prayer or a quote with weight to it, right? And it was just one thing a day. And looking back, I realized that this was my version of the 2-pass method. Just gathering something in the wild and then anchoring it in my body through ink and paper. And maybe one day my kids might find these notebooks and maybe they'll see, what words shaped me. Maybe they'll catch a glimpse of who I was trying to become. And maybe that's the thing that Kleon gets right? When you copy something by hand, it isn't just stored, it becomes part of you. if this resonated with you, I invite you to come hang out in my little digital corner of the internet on Substack. I talk more about shepherding ideas and stewarding ideas and taking scattered thoughts and insights and turning them into meaningful insights and ideas. So if that's something that you're interested in, link is below. Also the link below to Sublime, my note-taking app, if you want to check that out for free. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.